In this video, you will understand why the moment humanity finally conquers scarcity might ironically be the beginning of our psychological collapse. You are going to discover how the material abundance generated by technology is not setting us free, but rather creating a new kind of mental prison. I will show you, just so you have an idea, alarming data proving that economic growth and absolute comfort stopped generating happiness a long time ago, actually reversing mortality trends in developed nations. The fact is, we have been programmed for 200,000 years to hunt, build, and survive. If artificial intelligence has solved survival, what is left for the human animal to do on a Tuesday afternoon? Do you honestly know who you are when you do not have to fight for anything? Hello, I am the Career Defender. Welcome to 2029, the Great Disruption. In Dossier 1, you will understand the transition from the disciplinary society to the achievement society and the mental cost of it. In Dossier 2, you will discover the economic paradox that proves financial paradise does not bring well-being. And in the third dossier, you will get to know the only skill that might save your sanity when work ends: profound boredom. Our job is to prepare you for the challenges of the decade that is yet to start. Let's go. Dossier 1. The immediate evidence. The end of the biological lottery. Guys, let's be honest. We spent millennia praying not to get sick. Health was a lottery, and medicine was an art of patching up what chance had broken. Well, that is over. The seed of this end was planted silently back in May 2024, when Google DeepMind released AlphaFold 3. At that time, most people were worried about deepfakes on TikTok, but in the labs, biology was ceasing to be a wet and chaotic mystery to become basically a solved math problem. This AI did not just guess proteins, it designed the molecular keys to lock away diseases that have haunted us since the caves. Look, I remember my days as a medical student in Argentina, hunched over immense anatomy books, trying to memorize bone names and metabolic pathways, smelling the formaldehyde soaked into my clothes. It was a brute force effort, a fight against ignorance. Today in 2029, diagnosis is instant. The cure is personalized. Technical survival has been solved. But here is the key point. When you take the fear of death out of the daily equation, you also take away the urgency of life. You wake up, your body is perfect, energy is clean and cheap, food is synthetic and abundant, the relief is immense. But the silence that comes after the relief, that is deafening. Panic has moved. Before, the fear was dying. Now the fear is living forever without knowing why. Isn't that true? Humanity's immune system defeated viruses, but left the door open for a much more insidious pathogen: existential emptiness. After all, if we do not need to fight to survive, what justifies getting out of bed? This brutal efficiency of AI gave us time. A lot of time. And time, my friends, is a cruel mirror where we are forced to look at ourselves without makeup. Regarding this crisis of purpose that perfect health generated, I will still tell you more ahead in Dossier 3 about how this is creating a new religion based on profound boredom. But first, you need to understand how this abundance invaded your home and your bank account, transforming your Tuesday into a mental challenge. It is exactly about this comfortable trap that we are going to talk about now in Dossier 2, the friction of evolution. Boredom on a Tuesday. So imagine you wake up on a standard Tuesday in 2030. There is no shrill alarm clock because your sleep cycle has been optimized. You pick up your phone, or your glasses, or your lens, and open the Capital One app. The screen does not give you anxiety. There is no negative balance. Universal basic income combined with the massive technological deflation caused by AI in the production of goods meant that money ceased to be a survival problem and became just a luxury metric. It means you do not work to eat. You work, if you want to, for status. Then you feel hungry. You open your delivery app. It is no longer about choosing the cheapest pizza because the month is long. An Amazon drone leaves a nutritionally perfect meal on your window, printed or cultivated, which cost pennies. Logistics is a silent symphony conducted by algorithms that do not sleep, do not strike, and do not make mistakes. Sounds like paradise, do you agree with me? But be careful with this. Living here in the Amazon rainforest, for example, nature still commands respect. When the rain falls and the satellite internet flickers, or when the river rises, I feel the friction of real life. It is a reminder that I am small. But in the digital urban bubble of 2029, this friction has vanished. Everything is smooth. Everything is easy. And this ease is toxic. Economist Richard Easterlin had already warned us decades ago with his paradox. Getting richer does not make us happier if there is no challenge, no comparison, no conquest. The human being was designed to solve problems. If the Amazon algorithm solves your hunger and the Capital One algorithm solves your security, your brain goes into standby mode. And that is where routine turns into poison. You start inventing problems where they do not exist. Inflated social dramas, narrative wars on the internet, obsessing over aesthetics to sculpt a body that does not need to hunt anything. Do you perceive the difference? We have become conductors of an orchestra that plays by itself. You are there, baton in hand, but the musicians are codes and the music never stops. Now put yourself in this scenario. Do you feel powerful or do you feel useless? Honestly, I think I would feel useless. And this feeling of uselessness is what leads to the collapse I am going to describe next. And for you to better understand how to escape this golden trap, I will still explain the connection to the blossoming of consciousness at the end of this video, where most likely the only way out will be trying to look inside. Do not go anywhere, because what comes next defines if you will be a master or a slave of comfort. Dossier 3. The blossoming of consciousness. The abyss of the sublime. We have arrived at the territory of the sublime. Here the fog of the rat race dissipates, and what remains is the colossal mountain of the now. In this 2035 scenario, the achievement society that philosopher Byung-Chul described reached its peak and collapsed upon itself. We passed the phase of duty, discipline, went through the phase of can achievement, and hit the wall of not needing. Mechanical work died, bureaucracy died. What was left was art, philosophy, and connection. Sounds beautiful, right? The regeneration Eden. Clean cities, where drones plant forests and we take walks. But the psychological reality is brutal. Without the crutch of being busy, you are forced to face who you are. And most of us do not like what we see in the mirror. Remember the deaths of despair that started rising in the United States back around the 2010s and 2020s? Suicides, alcohol, drugs, that was a rehearsal. Back then, people died of despair due to a lack of economic opportunities. Now, post-2029, the risk is dying of despair due to an excess of emptiness. The anguish of having all the tools and no masterpiece to build. It is the profound boredom that Hans said was essential for creativity, but which we forgot how to feel. We try to fill this silence with digital noise, with virtual reality experiences, with new synthetic drugs that simulate the fight we no longer have. I see this in the eyes of young people who never had to file taxes or fix a flat tire. They have the look of someone searching for an enemy, any enemy, just to feel alive. The question throbbing in your temple is how to blossom when there is no winter. The answer requires an internal revolution. It demands that you become an idiot in the Greek and philosophical sense of the word. Someone focused on the private, the singular, capable of closing the windows of global communication and cultivating a secret garden. Your mind needs to turn into an intellectual bunker, a space where AI does not enter, where you read a physical book not to learn something useful but for the tactile pleasure of the page, where you have a conversation with a friend without recording, without posting, without measuring engagement, where value is not in the result, but in the process. Having said that, let's move to the most important part. You understood that health was resolved and brought the fear of eternity, right? You understood that the economy of abundance took away the pleasure of conquest. And you saw that boredom can be fatal or liberating. But how are you, on the other side of the screen, going to apply this tomorrow morning when the notification glows? How are you going to refuse the ease to save your soul? Remembering that before we end the video, I will leave you a conclusive analysis on how to hack this system and create artificial difficulties that will keep your sanity intact. But now, I need to ask you a question that will hurt. If AI can do everything better than you, create better art, diagnose better, manage better. What is your unreplicable utility? Think about it. Because the answer is not on Google, it is in the silence you avoid. Looking out the window of this regeneration Eden, drones continue planting symmetrical forests where chaos is not allowed to enter. But remember that perfection is just another name for sterility. To keep your sanity when survival is no longer necessary, what you need to do is reintroduce friction into your life. And my final and direct advice is, go back to analog. Find a passion that demands sweat, error, and time. Something no artificial intelligence can optimize because it is in difficulty that your soul breathes. In my case, I learned to do leathercraft. Look at what I do. I buy cowhide from an online tannery and learn to make backpacks, wallets, which I consider beautiful, detailed, but mainly full of human flaws without the monotonous perfection of 3D printers. The fact is, do not be a passive spectator of your own comfort. Tell me now in the comments, what will be your pet difficulty to resist the boredom of the future? I want to see who is ready for real work. I am the career defender, and I see you in the future. Bye. 8.